Yo, what is up there, guys? The Wiz back at it again for another video. Going to be talking some more Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure Season 3 right here, right now. So let's get right to it. Okay, so it was noted in the article that came out for Season 3 that, in quotes, in the Season 3 premiere, Rapunzel returns to the Kingdom of Corona only to find that it has been taken over by an old enemy. Now, the question, of course, is who could it possibly be? Throughout Rapunzel's adventure, we have come across many different enemies. I'm talking the Stabbington brothers, Varian, Zantari's henchmen being Sugarby and Matthews, the Baron, Anthony the Weasel, Lady Kane, Andrew, Hector, King Trevor. Heck, it could even be Axel for all I know. Nani? No! You know what they say, that guy's not really horsing around. Yes, I make jokes like that. However, these are just some of Rapunzel's enemies. There are many others out there, like this guy, but I think these guys are kind of the biggest possibilities, except Axel. That was just kind of a joke, forget that. So, alright, it's time to go ahead and play that oh so wonderful guessing game. Alright, so let's get through the list. Number 1, King Trevor. I'm gonna go ahead and say no. The dude is more of a clown than anything else. Yes, he kind of does have beef with Rapunzel's father, but it's one of those things where they're just trying to one-up each other, trying to make the other one look like a fool and make the other person look better. Taking over Corona seems kind of a bit extreme for that guy, so I'm just gonna cross him off the list. As for Zantari's henchmen, Sugarby and Matthews, I'm gonna say no, seeing as how they are just spirits kind of, and we are not even 100% sure if they're technically dead. It is entirely possible that they will make their return, but if they would, I feel as though it would be saved towards the end, if, and by if I mean most definitely, Zantari finally making his debut. But moving on, next up is Hector. Last time we saw him, he was still technically alive and was taken by Adira, and we haven't seen him since, but his whole thing was just trying to keep everyone away from the Dark Kingdom, so I don't think he really has any motive to go ahead and overrun Corona. Next up would be the Stabbington brothers, and I'm just gonna straight up say no. Yes, they do have motives and a clear hatred towards Eugene, but these guys are more like henchmen than anything else. They're just thieves. I can't see them pulling off something like taking over Corona, but let's not forget, during Season 2, the Stabbington brothers were on a prison boat getting transferred, so we might not see them for a while. But speaking of being on the transferred boat, Lady Kane was also in attendance. Now, Lady Kane does have a lot of followers and was able to infiltrate the kingdom before, and she does have a huge grudge against Rapunzel's father, so I could actually see it being her, which means she must have escaped somehow. Now, let's talk about Andrew. Yeah, remember this F-boy over here? Yeah, let's not forget that in the episode titled Under Wraps, we learned that there was a war between Corona and the Semporians. Luckily though, one leader was a guy and the other leader was a girl, and you know how that turns out. They ended up liking each other, and boom, the war was over. But there were descendants of Semporians like Andrew who felt betrayed and are basically still plotting, waiting for the right opportunity to strike back on Corona. Now, Andrew was trying to steal the book with the secret tunnels and failed, so maybe it's time for revenge. I can totally see that happening. The Semporians definitely fit the bill as an old enemy. Actually, it's like a ridiculously old enemy, and one that we haven't really explored too much aside from Andrew. But next up would be the Baron. The man clearly has beef with Eugene, and I believe would have the manpower to probably go ahead and take over the kingdom, which would be a cool dynamic to see, because how would his daughter Stallion feel about that? Her and Rapunzel at this point basically have more or less a mutual respect for each other, so that would be really interesting to see. So the Baron, I think, is a possibility, but would he hold that much of a grudge that, you know, he wants to go ahead and take over a whole kingdom? It is possible, but regardless, I feel as though he could pull it off if he really wanted to. So last but certainly not least is Varian. We all know Varian has a lot of reasons reasons to take over Corona. He basically did have all of Corona underneath his spell before, so I can easily see him getting the upper hand on everyone. The question would be, how did he break free from his, I'm assuming, prison? We still haven't even seen where they are keeping Variant. He wasn't even in the prison boat, so this man must be on some serious lockdown. However, I'm sure they have big plans for Variant. I'm sure he will get a redemption arc somehow down the line. Heck, if not, I can totally see him teaming up with Cassandra. Maybe Variant takes over Corona, fails, and then Cassandra breaks him free. They team up and boom. Actually, I made a video more in depth about that situation and which side Variant could go ahead and turn on. If you want to check it out, you know, you go ahead and check it out over here. Now, obviously, that was a lot of people to go through, and of course, I still technically haven't answered the question, who could it possibly be? Well, at this point, I'm narrowing it down to just the big four. It's either got to be Varian, the Baron, the Samporians, or Lady Kane. Those are the only ones that I could think actually really have the big incentive to go ahead and do it, and characters that could possibly go ahead and pull it off. Like I said before, Rapunzel has made a lot more enemies, but these over here I think are the really highly likely candidates for taking over Corona. So guys, what I want to know in the comment section below is, you know, hey, out of all the old enemies that Rapunzel has ever faced throughout her adventure, who do you think is the one that went ahead and took over Corona? So guys, if you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, as that really helps me out. If you aren't already, you can follow me on Twitter, same thing as my YouTube channel, which is Ed the Wiz. I am also on Instagram, which is MattSwag12345, where I post all the good stuff. So until next time, my dudes, I'm gonna go ahead and say, bye pal, we'll see you soon.